Hey everybody, and welcome back to another book review. I know it's been a minute, but I've been traveling a lot, so that gives me a little time to catch up on a little reading. So I finished Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. It's the first in a series, and I really do look forward to continuing the series. It's written by Heather Fawcett, um, and this book, it was not what I expected. It's been on my list for a good long while, but it was not what I expected. I was thinking just a standard romance, probably with a little fairy in it, a little fairy tale, but this was actually written in the style of a research journal with footnotes and everything. And I was like, yes, like as a historian, love it. But what I really liked about the book, outside of it being written from a perspective of a journal, is how it kind of took more of a scientific approach to fairies, and also assumes the reader has knowledge of, say, lore and fairy lore, especially from mostly Celtic, but also talks about some other like European folklore, which I thought was really cool. And some of it I had heard. I was actually surprised at how much fairy lore I did know. But some of it I was like, wait, what's that story? I did have to go look up a couple things, but it was lovely. It was cozy. Um, it just felt like a really good book. So the book is about Emily Wilde, obviously, and this is her research journal as she is going on a research mission, kind of sabbatical situation to look for a new like breed, more or less, of fairy that has been talked about but not fully discovered. Um, and she goes on this journey to Uzlan, which it sounds like it's kind of in the Nordic area, potentially close to Iceland. It has a lot of similar kind of features to Norway or Iceland. And so it's very, very far north. You have to take boats to get to it. It's not like something you just like hop over and there you are. So she goes on this journey and she's excited because she gets to be by herself and do her research. And in the process of this, one of her colleagues, Wendell Bambleby, he shows up and she's like, what are you doing here? Why are you bothering me? Like all the things, because was excited to get away from him and not be under his thumb and like do something for herself, more or less. And he's like, well, I came along because like I'm interested and, I want to help you with your research. And she has this kind of sinking suspicion, and she's had this suspicion for a while that he is also actually a fairy. And so they continue their mission, and um, he eventually confesses his love to her, and she's kind of accepting of it, which like slightly somewhat bothered by. I don't know. So I didn't give this book a 4, or I'm sorry, a 5. I gave it a 4.75 because story wise, really liked it, especially like the writing style and everything. But there are just some like character traits and flaws that I was just like, I twitch a little. And one of them is Wendell's proclivity for having like various females from the town in their little guest house that they're staying in. They're staying in a guest house, and then like Emily will just like wake up in the morning and like start breakfast or whatever, and then like a girl will walk out. And then like at the end of the book, he's like confessing his love and talking about how much he cares about her and all this stuff, and I'm like, and she's like okay with it suddenly. So like it's that kind of like rakish style, like I'm just not a fan of, and although he is a fairy, so it kind of makes sense, especially in like developing his character and building his character and stuff, but I just wasn't a fan of that. And then also towards the end of the book, or the latter part of the book, the climax, if you will, Emily makes like a really dumb decision, and I just don't understand why she does it. like it just seemed like there was actually, I'm sure if I like reread it, I would find the motivation, but it seems like there was actually no motivation in her making the decision. So one of the stories that was going around in Usland is that the fairy king in that area had been in prison because he was so um, more or less relaxed. From what I was gathering and what the people had said, basically he wasn't allowing fairies to just go out and kidnap children and do the changeling thing or feed on the joy and the sorrow of humans. Like he wasn't allowing them to do that, and so they imprisoned him so that they could do that. Not all the fairies, but a good chunk of them, and so he basically, like, she goes to find the tree that he is supposedly imprisoned in, and she gets kind of like a mark to her finger, and that mark eventually calls her to the tree. So there is like some motivation, but it's still in the story. She talks about like how she has so much control over things, and she doesn't frequently get lost in the world of fairy and everything. And then she frees the king and basically becomes his bride and is basically being tortured by him, more or less. And it takes Wendell and a couple people from the town to actually go and free her, which is lovely, because at first, like, the townspeople are just very wary of her, and Wendell, but like especially her. So yeah, so like that's part of the reason why I don't give it a 5, because I'm just like, that was like, it made sense. She had been marked, and so she was getting this call to the tree, but at the same time, it also doesn't make sense for the character, especially if she's talking about like how in control she is all the time. So it just, there was a lot with that, and I just was bothered by it. So, but outside of that, book is very, very good. Like I said, 4.75, almost a 5 for me. Just like a few character flaws I wasn't a fan of. But like outside of that, really, really good. I look forward to reading more. And, especially as a historian, I just really felt like I was reading kind of a historic book, even though, it's fiction. But it was just very nice and very smooth, and I really enjoyed it. So there you have it, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Please go out and read it. My best friend read it right away after I read it, and she was like, "You should have told me there were footnotes. I love this." So yeah, so like very exciting series and very exciting story. So there you have it. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe if you so choose, and feel free to suggest books in the comments. I am so behind on reading that it's going to take me forever to get to them. And like I said, this one's been on my list for a while because it was suggested forever ago. So I went back to the bottom of my list and started working my way back up. So just yeah, like, if you have any suggesting things or books to suggest, feel free to. So as always, I will see you in the next book review. Bye.